Do you remember your favourite toy as a child? Maybe it was an action figure, a teddy or some playing cards. Mine was itty bitty bins. Well, if you kept them and looked after them, they could be worth a pretty penny.
Hot Wheels! Collect them by themselves or get them in wild new action.
Remember these?
The fastest metal cars you've ever seen.
Or maybe you played with these.
My little pony.
Did you bicker with a sibling over whose turn it was with this? Does this jingle place you right back in the living room you grew up in? Well, these toys and more have made a comeback, only now they're collectibles. Alistair Lowe is head of collectibles at eBay Australia.
Aussies are a nation of collectors. They're collecting things like retro toys, action figures, vinyls, and trading cards.
Alistair says there's been a huge amount of growth in the industry over the past few years.
The things that are sold most are things like Lego, we've got action figures, trading cards, sneakers, vintage film, vinyl, vintage film cameras.
And these days, some old toys are worth a small fortune.
Just last year in December, we saw a Beanie Baby sell for over 2,800. So yeah, it's crazy prices. Some of these trading cards are growing really significantly. The most expensive trading card to sell on eBay Australia was over $100,000 for a signed Michael Jordan card.
Isabella Gallimberti is an avid collector.
So I collect Care Bears, My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, and anything that really interests me.
She says most of her collection is vintage. The 23-year-old owns more than 100 Care Bears.
The most valuable bear would probably be the one that is mint in box. So my mint in box cheer bear, she could probably get around $300 to $400.
My wife calls it an obsession. I certainly have more toys than my 3.5-year-old, that's for sure.
Gaurav Gupta collects Transformers.
Well, my collection's made up of roughly between 800 to 1,000 Transformers. I sort of lost count after the first 500 or so.
Over the past few years, the worth of his collection has grown.
I think the greatest growth has been between one of two different Transformers. Either my Victory Saber Masterpiece, which I think I picked up for $100 off the top of my head, and it would be worth $700 to $800 in its current state.
What's old is new again. At Casey's Toys in Sydney's West, you'd be forgiven for thinking you'd step back in time. Manager Naomi Ramirez.
We have a lot of retro toys that are coming into the store as of late, and it's an absolute huge craze for all of the parents.
Naomi, what are some of the most popular items that you're seeing fly off the shelves right now?
A lot of things like your Voltron, Power Rangers, Masters of the Universe. Then you've got things like Care Bears, Polly Pockets, Tamagotchis and Furby. And then some of our favourite games and gadgets.
Bratz dolls, My Little Pony and Troll dolls. And check out these classics, the Rubik's Cube and the Magic 8 Ball.
Will this ball be worth $1 million in a year? My sources say no.
Philip Taylor is a Star Wars enthusiast. His collection is 30 years in the making.
I started off collecting everything with the Star Wars name tag on it, both the vintage and the modern. I did a count on some loose figures. There's probably about 500 loose figures.
His most expensive figurine is also his smallest.
Tell me about this Jawa figurine. I understand it's quite valuable.
It is, yeah. So the Jawas were scavengers, and they appeared in the first movie, and they were part of the first 12 figures. Mm-hmm. The Jawa is one of them.
What would you say this little guy's worth?
This little guy is probably worth circa 4,000.
Phil's got all sorts of bits and bobs, which makes for an interesting home and a patient wife.
Maybe it'd be nice in the living room, next to the kids' photos.
You gotta have a hobby, right? His poor wife.